Hello everyone, this is Rachel live from Calkind Studios in Sydney and you're watching The Early Trades. Now, Australian shares returned from the Christmas break with a steady rise following a mixed session on Wall Street where Omicron-related news kept the US markets advanced to a minimum. The S&P ASX 200 index was 0.7% higher in the morning on the first day of trading since December the 24th. The Dow Jones Industrial Average held on for a fifth day of gains, up less than 0.3%, while the S&P 500 dropped 0.1% and the Nasdaq dropped 0.6%. Australia reported COVID-19 infections climbed, including 11,201 for New South Wales in Wednesday's tally and 3,767 for Victoria. An update issued by the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention identified 86 cruise ships in US waters under COVID-19 investigation as of Tuesday, although travel stocks were broadly stable. Iron ore traded on the spot market fell 3%. BHP Group shares were up 0.2% and Rio Tinto was up 0.6%. Flight Centre Travel Group dropped 2% and AMP 2%. There are no IPOs expected on the ASX this week. On Friday, the local index closed for the Christmas break on a high with the biggest weekly gain since the first week of November. Despite being a shortened trading day, the ASX gained 0.5% on Christmas Eve, taking its weekly gain to 1.66%. The economic and corporate calendars are predictably thin this week, and domestically there's nothing of note. The pipeline of initial public offerings dries up this week before spluttering back into life in the new year. China will release some manufacturing and service sector PMIs on Friday, and Wall Street has a handful of reports scattered across the remainder of the week, including house sales, crude oil inventories and weekly benefits claims. The dollar hit a one-month peak yesterday, and the Aussie was steady this morning at 72.34 US cents. Well, now, before we make a move to look at some important updates from ASX-listed companies, let's take a short break here. I'll be back soon.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
sectoral coverage or industry news,
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
with Calkind TV.
Welcome back. Rachel here with the Early Trades Report. Now, looking at some important news updates from ASX-listed companies, John Carantis will step back as Managing Director of Payments Group iSignthis, switching to a board role as part of his relocation to Cyprus, with Tim Hart becoming Executive Chairman on an interim basis. He will focus on the European side of the business, now separated into a single entity. iSignthis shares have been suspended from trading on the ASX since 2019. Moving on, and dual-listed Michael Hill International's trading update puts the jewellery retail on track for first half earnings before interest and tax exceeding last year's $44.6 million, having achieved sales growth and margin expansion over the months of November and December. Michael Hill's stock rallied almost 8%. Its second quarter trading update is due on January the 14th. And Security Matters, a firm focusing on digitising physical products on the blockchain to build a circular and transparent solution for the closed-loop economy, has announced the introduction of a full end-to-end plastic circular economy digital platform service. All three elements of SMX's unique tech IP for the plastics industry will be combined into a single linked platform service for this entire end-to-end circular economy solution for the plastic sector. Tyro Payments' transaction value for the month to date is ahead 36% over the same period of financial year 2021 as of the last dollar processed on the 24th of December, according to its weekly update, which it's pledged to maintain until the release of its full year results. Tyro shares gained 0.4% so far this morning. And the agency Group Australia appointed Chief Executive Jeff Lucas to the board, making him Group CEO and Managing Director as of the 28th of January. Current Managing Director Paul Nardone will become Executive Director and retain his focus on Western Australia financial services and the property technology side of the business. The agency shares did not trade. And Pure Minerals dropped after an update on the proposed spin-out of its subsidiary Vertex Minerals, expected in mid-Jan. And Select Harvest reported a fire at its waste facility in northwest Victoria, which has been contained. It anticipates making an insurance claim under its relevant policies spanning property and business interruption. It expects almond receiving and processing to still proceed when harvest begins in February. Select shares are up 0.3%. And Economy Resources and its partner DiscoverX climbed off the back of a discovery at the Greater Duchess Gold Project in Western Queensland. While neither company had individual news, COVID test providers Loomis Diagnostics and Atomo Diagnostics both skyrocketed amidst heavy demand for COVID tests in recent days. Well, that's all for now for the early trade. Stay tuned to Kalkine TV. We've got many more shows for you across the economy, markets and sectors. This is Rachel signing off for now.